Listening Practice Test. Please turn to Section 1 of Listening Practice Test. Section 1. Listen to the conversation between a Japanese student and a housing officer and complete the form. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example which has been done for you. The conversation relating to this will be played first.
Yes, what can I do for you?
My friend is in a homestay and she really enjoys it, so I'd like to join a family as well.
Okay, let me get some details. What's your name?
My name is Keiko Yoichini.
Could you spell your family name for me, please?
Yes, it's Yoichini. That's Yuichini.
The student's family name is Yuichini, so that has been written on the form. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Yes, what can I do for you?
My friend is in a homestay and she really enjoys it, so I'd like to join a family as well.
Okay, let me get some details. What's your name?
My name is Keiko Yoichini.
Could you spell your family name for me, please?
Yes, it's Yoichini. That's Yuichini.
And your first name?
It's Keiko. Keiko.
That's Keiko Yuichini. Okay. And you're female. And your nationality?
I'm Japanese.
Right. And could I see your passport, please?
Here it is.
Okay, your passport number is JO6337. And you are how old?
I'm 28 years old.
Now you're living in one of the colleges. Which one?
Willow College, Rome 21C.
Right, 21C, Willow College. And how long are you planning to stay with Homestay?
About 4 months, longer if I like it.
And what course are you enrolled in?
Well, I've enrolled for 20 weeks in the Advanced English Studies because I need help with my writing, and I'm nearly at the end of my first 5-week course.
Right, so you've completed 5 weeks and you have enrolled for another 15 weeks. That's about 4 months altogether.
That's right, about 4 months.
Before they continue their conversation, look at questions 6 to 10. As you listen to the rest of the conversation, complete the form by filling in the numbered spaces 6 to 10.
Okay. Do you have a preference for a family with children or without children?
I like young children, but I like to be with older people. You know, I like someone of my own age.
Okay. And do you smoke or drink?
No and no.
Would you mind being with a family of smokers?
Yes, I would. I don't like smoking. I'd rather be with a family of people who do not smoke or drink.
Okay, and what about pets?
Oh, I love animals. I'm a veterinarian, so that's fine. The more the better.
All right. Now what about you? Are you a vegetarian or do you have any special food requirements?
No, I'm not a vegetarian, but I don't eat a lot of meat. I really like seafood.
And what about your hobbies?
I like reading and going to the movies.
Do you play any sports?
Yes, I joined the handball team, but I didn't like that, so I stopped playing. You know, I played tennis on the weekend with my friends.
All right, let's see. Name, age, transport. Are you familiar with the public transport system?
No, I'm not really, because I've been living on campus. I've been to the city a few times on the bus, but they're always late.
What about the trains?
I like catching trains. They're much faster.
Well, let's go and check on the computer to see what I've got. Listen, would it be okay to leave this with me? Could you come back after class this afternoon?
Yes, of course.
I'll check my records and I will give you details this afternoon.
Thank you for your help.
It's a pleasure. I'll see you this afternoon. Bye.
Bye.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You are going to hear an introduction to a group tour to Australia by a travel company manager. First look at questions 11 to 15. As you listen to the first part of the talk, answer questions 11 to 15.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Morning Sun Travel. I'm Rick Smith, and I manage our group tours to Australia, New Zealand, and the South Sea Islands. It's good to see so many of you here. As you know, I'm going to introduce our latest product, the 21-day Grand Australian Tour. First of all, why did we develop this new tour? Well, our 2-week Aussie tours have proved really popular over the past few years, so after doing some market research, we found that there's a demand for a longer tour. In fact, looking around, I see some faces I recognise. You two went on our Australian tour last year, right? Great. Good to see you back again. If you think I'm exaggerating about Australia, you can interrupt me. Another thing. It's a long way from England to Australia, and many of our clients think it's a pity to go all that way for just a couple of weeks. So, our first 3-week tour will head off in early November, about 3 months from now. Now, if we dim the light a bit, I'll show you some slides of what we'll do and see down under. Our first stop will be Sydney. It's one of my favourite cities, and we'll arrive mid-morning and check into one of my favourite hotels, the 5 Seasons Hotel, Sydney. America's most popular travel magazine selected it as the best hotel in Australia. Believe me, it deserves every one of its 5 stars. It has fantastic views of Sydney Harbour, the famous Opera House and Sydney Harbour Bridge. And for those of you who are born to shop, it's just a short walk away from Sydney's major shopping and business districts. Great restaurants and bars, and for those of us who like to keep fit, there's a state-of-the-art spa and fitness centre with sauna and heated outdoor pool. We'll have lunch in the hotel, and then off we'll go to explore. No time for a rest. To get over jet lag, it's best to get out and do something energetic. Our first afternoon, we'll stroll around the harbour and visit the Sydney Opera House. Then we'll have a relaxed evening, dining at Luigi's Place, one of the city's best Italian restaurants. Day 2. Lots of fresh air. We'll have a day trip to the Blue Mountains. Just look at these slides. Wonderful views, complete with a walk through temperate rainforests. And these pictures are Featherdale Wildlife Park, the best wildlife park in Sydney, where you can feed kangaroos, have your photo taken with koala bears, and see over 2,000 different other types of Australian animals, including crocodiles, Tasmanian devils, wombats. Look at this picture of a wombat. Looks like a bear with short legs. And penguins, dingoes and snakes. Lots of snakes. Some of Australia's snakes are the most poisonous in the world. And you can also learn about Aboriginal culture. And, this is fun, try throwing a boomerang.
As the talk continues, answer questions 16 to 20.
And look at these slides. Australia's Grand Canyon, the Megalong and Jamison Valleys. Incredible. On the way back, we'll get in our bus and stop at the Sydney 2000 Olympic site, where you can see Stadium Australia, the Superdome, the Aquatic Centre, the Olympic Village, and lots more. So, day 2, great day. But that's not all. After that, we'll take a cruise down the Parramatta River, under the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and into Sydney Harbour. Any questions so far? OK, let's see what we'll be doing on day 3. Anyone flown in a seaplane? Just a few of you. Well, a visit to Sydney would not be complete without viewing the world-famous Bondi Beach from 500 feet in the air, and this is a picture of Bondi Beach. We take off from Rose Bay, which is not far from our hotel. This should be a slide of Rose Bay. Yes, it is. You can see the seaplane taking off. Then we fly down the coast to Bondi Beach. Look at that surf. Returning back up the coast, we fly over Manly and Longreef before returning to the harbour, climbing to a height of 1,000 feet for a vista of Sydney Harbour, which will take your breath away. Look at this slide. And this one. Wow! And then back to Rose Bay. Then it'll be time for lunch in Chinatown. That's a great thing about Australia. It's a country of immigrants, so in the cities you can get just about any food you like, Greek, Chinese, Mexican, you name it, and perhaps you'd like to try kangaroo meat, very low fat. And after a big lunch, we'll go to walk it off in Luna Park. I can't begin to tell you how much there is to see and do here. We'll just run through a few slides. Picture's worth 1,000 words, as they say, to give you an idea. Hey, I see the coffee's here. It's a bit early, not to worry. Let's all grab a cup now, and then we'll move on to Melbourne, then the Great Barrier Reef, and all the other great places on the itinerary.
That is the end of section 2. You now have some time to check your answers.
Section 3. In this section, you will hear a discussion about shopping habits. First look at questions 21 to 24. As you listen to the first part of the discussion, answer questions 21 to 24.
Excuse me. I wonder if you'd mind answering a few questions. You see, I'm doing a project.
Fine, what's this on?
Well, I'm looking at the people's shopping habits.
OK.
Can I ask you, first of all, are you a student?
Well, I was a student here last year, but since then I've left, and I'm working in a bank now as a cashier. I just came to see a friend.
Oh, that's okay. So how often do you go shopping?
Oh, I buy a lot of books. Should I exclude books?
Oh, if you leave books aside, what about shopping for all of your personal items, study things, and that sort of thing?
OK, because I go to the supermarket almost every day, it seems the other things, I'd say, I tend to do it every other week.
And do you spend the same amount each time?
I guess so. I only have about £100 a month spare, so I'd probably spend about £50 each time.
What sort of shops do you like best? The department store or the small retail outlets?
Oh, I like big department stores, so everything's in one place. The weather's so bad, so it's a bit miserable trudging from one little shop to another.
Great. What do you find most difficult to buy?
What do you mean?
Well, what do you have to really search for? What takes you a long time to find?
Oh, jeans, definitely. You can get hold of a sweater or a CD in a moment, but with jeans I can spend all afternoon and still not find a pair that fits.
OK, one last question. Who do you usually shop with?
Now, I usually go shopping on my own, but if I want to make it more of a social occasion with friends to have a coffee and things, I often go with colleagues from work, in our lunch hour.
Well, thank you very much. You've been very helpful.
No problem.
Before the next part begins, you will have a chance to look at questions 25 to 30. As you listen, answer questions 25 to 30.
Hello, Dale. How did you get on with your shopping inquiries?
Well, I got 50 people to answer questions and the results were quite interesting.
OK, let's have a look.
Well, those were handouts and here you can see that the majority of people I interviewed said they went shopping once a week. Most often, that was the weekend.
Right.
For those people who spend enormous amounts of money, if you see this chart, you can see that half the people spend £45 a month, and while 15% of people spend more than that, an average of £75, the rest spend relatively small amounts. Even the regular shoppers spend no more than £20 a month.
Window shoppers?
Yes, I asked them what kinds of shops they prefer, and the response was unanimous. Everyone went for department stores. I think that's what young people today want.
That's understandable, and that's a useful statistic, I think.
I also talked to them about the things they found most difficult to buy. I thought the answer was going to be something like books or study materials, but it's always clothes. They have problems with things related to hobbies. As far as sportswear is concerned, they complain about the lack of shops that sell it. Not many had trouble buying sweaters and things like that, but shoes and trousers were really problematic.
Was that, again, because there just isn't enough variety?
Yes, they say everywhere they just come across the same styles, so they just give up after a while.
I know what they mean.
Lastly, I asked them whom they want to shop with.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You are going to hear a lecture about sales and marketing. You now have some time to read questions 31 to 40.
Good evening, and welcome to the second class of our Sales and Marketing course. Tonight, and in the next few weeks, I'll be talking about advertising. To be specific, about different types of advertising, different types of message, all of which, of course, are supposed to make your company or your organization, the government perhaps, more successful. Now, please note that I'm not, at this stage, going to talk about advertising media. There are various choices here: radio, newspapers, television, billboards, magazines, and, of course, the Internet. It's almost impossible to go into Google or Yahoo or whatever and not find adverts on almost every page. But we'll talk about the various choices of media later. First, I will stress one thing. Advertising can be expensive. Whether you are a small business, an NGO, or a multinational corporation. So it's very important that what you spend on advertising is money well spent, money that achieves your objectives, whatever they might be. The ads must be cost-effective. It is therefore essential to use the right type of advertising with the right message that make it effective. There are several types of advertising, aiming to promote one, sometimes more, of the following things: brand name, company image, a product, a service rather than a product, or a group, like a manufacturers association or a cooperative. Can you think of anything else? Right. You might want to make people look after their health better and associate your company with things that can help them do this. But the common aim is that the advertiser wants to change or reinforce people's attitudes and perceptions, and in most cases, their behavior, maybe their buying habits. Which type you choose depends on your objectives. All clear so far? Good. Okay, let's look at a very common type, advertising designed to promote a brand name. If you go out to buy many types of product, toothpaste, detergent, cheese, how many of you think of the name of the company that made it? Right, you don't usually think of Procter & Gamble when you buy the company's Tide laundry detergent, or Cascade dishwashing powder, or the Kraft Company when you buy Philadelphia cream cheese. That's right. Philadelphia cream cheese is a registered brand name. In fact, the name of the company, Kraft, is hardly noticeable on the package. The point is that these companies have successfully promoted the name of various products, and consumers buy these products primarily because they recognize the brand name and may not even know the name of the company that makes it. So, advertising to promote a brand name is designed to create and keep strong image in the customer's mind of the product, not the company. For example, would you buy Shell? You know, the big oil company. Would you buy Shell beer? It's a famous company, but probably not. Imagine. But what if Shell had bought a brewery and marketed a beer they called Granddad's Old Ale? You can bet that the word Shell Oil Company would be in the smallest print possible and would never be mentioned in Granddad's Old Ale advertising. But when you buy a can of Shell oil or some gasoline, the word Shell is big and everywhere. So there's nothing better than a good brand name. Now, let's look at another type of advertising. Advertising that is designed to promote a company image. Imagine you've started a new company. You might want to start by getting the company name known first, before you worry about advertising your products and services. One company that did this was in San Francisco, the San Fran Video Store. The managers decided to promote the company name rather than promote the videos they rented out. They put small ads in local newspapers that simply said, San Fran Video Store, a great selection of movies. And they also had people handing out little cards with the same message on them, plus a list of the store locations. So they didn't spend a fortune on advertising. They put most of their money into making sure they had a great selection of movies. And it worked. They started with 4 stores in 1995, and now they have, at last count, 27. Now, can you think of examples of companies advertising both a product and the company name in the same advert? Come on, you must be able to think of one. What? That's right, a good example. Makers of luxury things like perfume and fashion. For example, when Chanel brings out a new perfume, the advertising message is always something like, Nightlight by Chanel. This almost immediately gives the new perfume a good reputation, because it's by Chanel, and also reinforces perception of the company name. So, the different types of advertising might not be mutually exclusive. The important thing is that the objectives must be clear, mutually supportive, and not contradictory. Another type of advertising is designed to promote a service rather than a physical product. But our time is up, so we'll leave that till next time. Good night, everybody.
That is the end of section 4. You now have some time to check your answers.